Namaste, good evening, everyone. I hope you are all well. We will continue now from where we left off yesterday. Okay, so yesterday we were talking about how the cosmic rays are also part of making the water. I think it was worth knowing because that was one of the part that we never understood. We always wondered how the water came about, but then here it was clarified, and I think it is clear that we had gaseous bodies that arrived on Earth, and then those gaseous bodies with बेसिकली रेडिएशन ब्रह्मांडीय किरण जो हम लोग कहते हैं उससे पानी बना पृथ्वी में एंड how those same rays can be used if we start removing those rays from where they're kept, they can actually be used to deform the water and make it unstable. So that was one of the great talks of yesterday, part of one of the great talks of yesterday also. So yeah, I will just read where we have left off. Rebuilding requires us to first stop the excesses we have been committing against Earth. We read in the newspapers how the extraction of fossil fuel, coal, and use of poisonous material in warfare have caused immense damage to Earth's shield, that is, the atmosphere. If it is true, then we will have to stop all such activities. It is a great quality of humans that they think of reparation after causing damage, a quality not found in animals. However, humans haven't done anything to repair the damage they have caused to the environment. On the contrary, it is getting worse by the day. How long can it go on like this? Will we ever do anything to repair the damage we have inflicted on Earth? So, here we said yesterday of how so much work is there to repair what we have already spent so many years, starting from the pre industrial era of understanding this, everything is just a resource and exploiting it almost. And so, this is the place that we have to now understand that we have to now work on repairing it, right? So, yeah. Um, Earth has kept provisioning for humans to live safely, but humans, with all their intelligence, rebelled, attacked, and exploited Earth. Humans have been engaged in damaging their environment from the very beginning. So maybe in the beginning, see, the problem of the fact is that we always do something without knowing, and then once the problem is realized, we suddenly start to work on its opposite, which is the solution to it. But we don't think of the first. In the first point only where the damage should not happen in the first place. So this is what is the knowledge or the understanding all about. We have to know first something, understand something, what is its purpose, work on the why, and not on the how and when. So we are always focused on how and when to do something and not understanding why we need to do something. So this is very important aspect of this darshan, that it explains why things happen, and it also explains, or it rather asks you the question, why do you need to do something in the first place? So once we get those answers sorted, then we can also get to the activity with line in line with existence, and so there will be no repercussions as such. On the contrary, we will actually add to the existence. The damage increased with the coming of the scientific age. Therefore, we now find ourselves in trouble. If a man is drowning in a river, then there is still a possibility that he may resurface and get saved. It is up to us now whether we want to act on the possibility of saving Earth. So I think what this two sentences mean is that We are still alive, we are still surviving, so Earth is still trying to show us by ways of it reacting towards the environment. Like there are so many hurricanes and there are so many um, low pressure zones, and then that's creating a lot of rain, and the El Nino and the La Nina effects, and this also is adding towards the balance. Actually, we feel that this is all happening randomly, but it's actually the earth is trying to balance itself with these activities. And so yeah, we are just not in line with it, so we don't understand it. There are a couple of hurricanes, and not only just hurricanes but also earthquakes that are happening completely unnaturally. They are happening because of the increase of the temperature of the earth. So yeah, circumstances are created from thoughts. If we want something, then circumstances become favorable for it. And if we don't want something, then circumstances become unfavorable for it. It is because of our own lack of understanding that we are erred in the evolution of reality, evaluation of reality, and the magnificence of the natural environment. As a result, we caused damage to nature and harmed ourselves in many ways. So here it's saying that our evaluation of reality is based on what is favorable. Now, the word favorable, if we recall, it's linked with the likable, the profitable, and the health. So, like what is whatever is health centric or likable to us or profitable to us, we will do that. That is in our favor. So we will do that. So based on that, we create the circumstances in our mind, and then we do the necessary to fulfill that. Some simple examples are like when the forests are destroyed for the sake of development, or in the name of claiming land for some sort of business creation or anything like that, right? So that is always a downside to it, because those trees or those places or habitats for if not thousands but at least 100 years, hundreds of years, and we are just clearing them for the sake of some structures that we think that will give us profit. So this is the problem. The individualization of the market forces has to be realized, where every person is given a sort of a subtle boost to their ego, and in that sense the person becomes disconnected with the family, and they leave for the city, and then they have to have their separate houses. When they have the separate houses, they have to have the separate utilities, all of them, the cars, the air conditioners, the fridges, the microwaves, and all those things. So that also burdens the environment for the products. I mean, everything is made from the earth, right? So extraction of minerals is brought about on the earth, and also after that also we are fed with these advertisements of modern machinery, modern gadgets, and all those also give us the sort of a kick for a while. We get that sort of subtle kick of owning something new, and that also again drives the market towards the extraction of the minerals. So it's a very twisted game that is running on this earth, I would say. And as we said yesterday, the earth is also at a very brink of a lot of destruction has already happened, in the sense where the um, animal like so many species have already passed on and they will never return, and that has happened in the last few decades itself because of the habitat being destroyed. So we'll have to in fact, it's saying here, it is because of our own lack of understanding that we have erred in the evaluation of reality and the magnificence of the natural environment. As a result, we caused damage to nature and harmed ourselves in many ways. So who knows what kind of destruction we have done by destroying the habitat of other plant species or animal species out there, right? While causing this damage, we have been enjoying ourselves, but we are afraid also of the possibility of getting harmed ourselves. This is the analysis of the past. So we can see what this has done. And when we say that we are enjoying ourselves, I think this is where we are going to be all guilty of this thing, that we are going or flowing with the masses. So what the masses does is it gives a sort of a validation for each other, because if we are going with the masses, we are moving with the masses, we don't have anybody to be shy of, or we don't have to be we are not criticized by anyone because we are moving with the masses, right? So that is one of the things that this is saying here. We have been enjoying ourselves, but we are afraid also in the possibility of getting harmed ourselves. So that fact is subtle, obviously, that we are going to get harmed because everybody is with everybody else, and there is a sort of जिसको कहते हैं ना, there is a belonging when you are in a pack, or when you're in a setup which is of the masses. So there is a sort of a reliance on each other, that if we fall or if one of us falls, we'll be caught by the other. At least that is what the belief is, you know. So yeah, when humans become ready for living in orderliness based on humane consciousness, only then Jeevan Vidya is transmitted from one to the other, to another. So I think this has to be highlighted, because when it says uh, when humans become ready for living in orderliness, that too based on human consciousness, only Jivan Vidya is transmit. Only then Jivan Vidya will be transmitted from one to another. So this means that when one is in alignment with the knowledge of Jivan Vidya themselves, then only will it be able to be transmitted to another. So it's like its evidence has come. So we have to live in accordance to it, and that means that we have understood it, so that we will be also evidencing it through our behavior, through our talk, through our deeds. All those kind of things will be in line with orderliness, right? So then that also will be able to. It's like we'll be preaching what we are practicing. So then that will be not hard. It will not be hard for the masses also, or the other people who are curious enough to see what other things we are doing, and we will indeed be doing some things completely differently. If I can remind the viewers, I was mentioning how if I would have a plot of land, I would actually build sort of a very big pond in it first, because even though it is like a, not a utility in the sense that I will be losing land, right, where I can grow, but the fact is that I will be actually creating that place where the water is kept, which is there for the sustenance of the plants and the crops, right? So we know that the rainwater is the best when it comes to growing anything, right? We actually know that, and in fact, everybody relies on a good monsoon, simply because the monsoon water is more um, uh, like the tedious, technically speaking, is so less that it is very easily uptaken by the roots, and everything grows and flourishes very well in the rainwater. So that is one of the facts, that we should have open lands where these sort of ponds are there. And indeed, they were there before when the rivers were flowing. There were ponds in almost all villages. Even today, I think there are ponds. Major cities do have ponds, and this is a true sign of a prosperous village, right? So that is what one of the things that we should do, is that if we ever have a plot of land, we should have a sort of a pond in a lower inclined land field area. We can just build a pond, and that is one of the ways that we are now in a line with existence. So everything changes. The way we think also, the way we are going to act also, the way we are going to engage with nature also changes once we are in line with orderliness. And we know that we will need the water for the whole year, at least for the 9 months that are coming after the monsoon. We know that we'll need water. So we should not so much rely on fossil fuel energy and then draining the aquifers below us with the high powered motors and all those kind of things. Instead, why not just store it on the surface where it was falling in the first place? And in fact, when the water is of the aquifers, it is actually hard water. I mean, it passes through a lot of metals, and it collects all of the metals, and it's also many heavy minerals are dissolved into it, and like manganese and calcium and all these kind of things get dissolved to make it hard water, right? And rainwater is very soft, like literally things you can boil in it very easily, and it comes very the taste also is different. We can actually try this. I don't know if the audience will be willing, but if we can just leave a utensil outside, and I'm sure if this discourse was being heard by kids, they would actually do this, because I know that I had taken this workshop once with the kids of harvesting rainwater just in an open utensil, just covering it with a handkerchief or something like that, and leaving it in the open veranda or somewhere where the raindrops are falling directly. We tried this, and the kids actually gave me a very positive feedback in the next day. So they collected some amount of water. They used it to make tea. They used it to make their drink, or they just drank it directly after just pouring it out of the utensil. And they definitely said it was tasting better than mineral water also. So we actually can try this monsoon also. Uh, let's not get into this question of maybe it is having pollutants or all these things. I'm talking about the second rain, or the after the pollutants have been dissolved into the rains, and then we are now harvesting the second rain. Let's assume that it is good enough and better than the tap water, and or the better than the RO water. And I actually can vouch for this, that you will get a TDS below 50, because I have collected the rainwater myself of last year, and it's still in the water tanks in my house, and the TDS is something like 30 or 40. So that's the trans dissolved solvents which are inside it, and it's just the level is at just 20 or 30, at max 40, it doesn't even go above that. And mineral water is something like 100 TDS. If you can just take a mineral water bottle, and it is not less than 100. So you can just imagine that the best of the waters, or so-called bottled water, is actually not less than 100 TDS. And of course, tap water is something like, if you have a good supply, it's something like 200 to 500. And drinkable water is not more than, I think, 200. So that's what we are looking at. So my point is that the markets will always give you the worst case scenario of drinking water. They will say that the 200 is drinkable. But my question to you is, what is the best possible water that we can drink? So that would be rainwater, and that is at about 20 to 50 TDS. We should try this, and let's see what sort of feedback we get from the audience here, because I'm sure that at least the schools, they should have this water harvesting facility there, because all the kids come there, all the kids stay there for a while. It literally uh, composes your body in a different way compared to the water that we drink in the RO or in the tap water, whatever. So let's see what we come up with the audience. We have been able to do this successfully in one school. Looking at the good results here, there is a need for its widespread dissemination. So this is about learning Jeevan Vidya and then transmitting it to one another through one's practice. No one commits a wrong act without ignorance. So that means everybody wants to do the right thing, right? And everybody does something knowing that it is right. So that sentence also means that one thing also, that even if somebody is committing a murder or terrorism, they think that they are doing the right thing, and that's how they do it also. So that clearly kicks out the fact that we should punish the culprit, because the culprit has not clearly understood the repercussions of something, and they're doing it out of ignorance, and then that's how they feel that they're doing something right. So even if we give them the sentencing or the punishment, but if they are not accepted it as something wrong, then they will always feel that they've done something right. They will always be revered in their own minds as the heroes. And that indeed is also the case. Like, for example, Even in today's case of where there are wars happening and the people who are called as terrorists by us are actually then glorified in their hometowns or in their places or in the war opposite the war places. So we are understanding that they are warlords there. Sorry, they are war creators here, and but they are the freedom fighters there. So that's how it's been looked at upon. So, anyways, this is how it is. No one commits a wrong act without ignorance. According to me, every human wants good and takes responsibility for good. Hence, sooner or later, humans will feel responsible for the good of all. Awakening of Jeevan is only for actualizing this universal good. So here I think Babaji is trying to say that one day, eventually, the Jivan's curiosity will actually ultimately lead towards its awakening. So that is one of the greatest hopes, I believe, that even Babaji is, I think, saying the same here, that the hope is that we will be curious enough to achieve uh, the the universal good based on the fact that we will be curious for the same, right? So there we have it. This discussion about understanding and Jivan's awakening is initiated only with the intent of forming a healthy society and freedom from the traps of comfort accumulation and devotion detachment. So I will actually highlight this because this is very important. This discussion about understanding the Jivan's awakening is initiated only with the intent of forming a healthy society and freedom from the traps of comfort accumulation and devotion detachment. So, what this means is that the the trap. Let's just talk about the trap. The fact that the comfort accumulation is the part which the materialism plays, right? So this part is played by the materialism rightly currently, which is going on. Mostly, most people are found at this peril where they are actually comfort driven. They are accumulating. We feel that we need to retire in a young age or with a lot of money and all those kind of things. And on the other hand, we have the devotion and detachment. So there are also people, maybe a few people these days actually, there are more devoted towards devotion, are not attached to their family. Maybe they are attached to bhakti marg and idealizing some sort of religion, and all these kind of things are happening. So these are classified as the traps for the humans actually. Now this is going to be very hard to digest. As I said, that we have all been brought up into some sort of one of these lines of existing. When I say lines, I mean culturally speaking. Even we have developed ourselves with that culture that we are religious, or we have developed the culture that we are, I mean, very profit driven, and we have a family culture of making money, wealth, and all this kind of things. So this sort of culture, which is imbibed in our conscious, is the one which is going to create the first sort of hurdle in our awakening, because this is the one which the darshan itself is the mark, or the road which is completely aloof from this. It is completely a third proposal from these two. So it is neither about comfort accumulation nor is it about devotion detachment. We are going to understand the needs of the jivan. We are going to understand the needs of the body, and then we are going to regard what sort of comfort we need to accumulate and what we need to detach. So it is actually taking the best of all the two things, but yet it is not exactly um, connected with any of the two. So we have to know this is the third completely different way of understanding, and that is based on the utility of it. So like if the body needs something, even though it might be very expensive, there is no problem. We can effort ourselves, or we can have a creation of that kind of thing where we have enough to buy or to exchange that for a particular purpose. So it will be almost like a purpose driven society where things are made or things are created based on what the persons who is understood, who is knowledgeable, what he or she will be needing, those things will be created. And that will be created with utsav, with celebration. There's nothing to be about that let's create something with low grade quality stuff or anything like that. Everything which will be needed will be created with the best of quality, with the best of intention. And that is the biggest change of understanding that we can see in this society which will be awakened. So I just thought of highlighting this point that the healthy society and the freedom from the traps occurs when we have awayed from this materialism and idealism completely and found it the way we just see the things the way they are. We don't have any sort of mysticism or idealism or and materialism in it. We are just seeing the way the things they are, right? Okay, so I'm just moving ahead. If anybody wants to ask something, they can do so anytime. Okay. The evidencing of enlightenment and resolve activities of buddhi can happen only when it attains the enlightenment of justice, dharma, and truth. So, the evidencing of enlightenment. So, like when we are understood in the buddhi, right? And the resolve activities of the buddhi can happen only when it attains the enlightenment of justice, dharma, and truth. So until now, we were just focused on profit, on health, on likability. And instead of that, now the buddhi has to feel justice, dharma, and truth, and that's how we will be and evidencing the enlightenment, right? So this is what this sentence means. It is when these three are comprehended that buddhi is called sad buddhi, whereby a human accepts responsibility for the good of all. So as we talked about in earlier sessions, the buddhi is not getting any sort of raw material to think upon because we are not thinking in the terms of justice, dharma, and truth. As I said, if I was given a plot of land now, I would create a pond in it or a lake artificially. Now that is going to be justice based on what the purpose is of a farm or of a forest for that matter, and that is to sustain the plant life, and that the plant life needs the water and it needs the natural environment to grow, and that is going to be justice for that, right? So this input was not there because before I used to see land as the, or rather every one of us sees the what maximum we can attain from that land. But now I will realize that every plant needs a sort of a microclimate. So I might actually put some unnecessary trees which are just going to grow at the edges of the farm, so that that now creates a sort of a microclimate in the center of the farm. So this is just, I'm going into very depth of just giving a very simple example, that if I wanted to create something which is in a balance of nature, then I would understand that plants and animals and all these microorganisms, they need a sort of a microclimate. And for that microclimate, we need huge and large trees. So maybe I will just plant these trees which have no fruit bearing capacity or anything like that, but just for the foliage, just for the leaves, I would just plant the trees on the edges of the whole farm, make it a sort of a dense, sort of not semi-permeable place, so that the air is also not moving with a high velocity. And actually, it creates a wind barrier also, these huge trees. So there is a microclimate in the middle. And after that, then there will be also a pond there and all those kind of things. So now I'm doing justice with what I'm trying to grow there. So that's how it is. And this is because I've understood what the existence is all about and how existence works. So now it can be said that we are using our sadbuddhi because we have comprehended everything and then now we are doing something. So it is when these three are comprehended that buddhi is called sadbuddhi, whereby a human accepts responsibility for the good of all. Now, when we say all here, it means all the four orders. It's not just about human beings, it's about the four orders. So sometimes we might say that, okay, we are taking things too unnecessarily to the depth of anything, but it should be profitable just to the humans. But look where it is led to. Until now, all that we have done is to that extent that it has to be profitable to the human, and we can see where we have led ourselves. So now this all actually means the all the four orders. So it includes the humans also, and this all actually means all of us as the four orders. It is upon comprehending existence that we become aware of it being eternally present as coexistence, which itself is the object of study. So, when we understand existence and its intrinsic nature of cyclicity, of renewing everything, that we come aware of its eternal presence. So, because of its cyclicity, everything is renewed and renewed. It is actually because of this coexistence that everything is happening so rhythmatically, so scientifically. Even we are saying that we can make calendars which are going to be having the same Sunday, Mondays, Tuesdays, wherever it is, after even lakhs of years or even millions of years from now, we can maybe create a calendar which is something like 1 million AD, 1 million years ahead from this date today. So how is that possible? That is only possible because we know the cyclicity of the sun and how the earth is rotating around the sun and all these kind of things. In fact, even the moon, we can create a moon calendar after 1 million years because we know how the moon is having its phases and how it works with the earth and how it's involved with the seasons and how it's keeping the earth at tilted at a 23 degrees axis, and that's how it's creating the seasons of the earth that we are seeing. Six seasons actually in India, and maybe 3 to 4 seasons in other um, hemispheres or lower hemispheres. But since we are in that sort of place, we are actually getting the 6 seasons in India. So the point is that if we are understanding the existence and how it's coexisting, we can actually predict its nature. And this is what I'm trying to say, that if we can predict it, then the human only is the one which is not predictable. And that is because he is not knowledgeable. Once he is in line with knowledge and knowledge of all the four orders, I don't think that it's going to be so hard to understand that it's also that the human will be in sort of cyclic in nature, in the sense that he will or he will she will the Jeevan will come. When I say the human, I'm now trying to divert myself from the physical manifestation of the human, in the it is coexisting with the physical body. So the Jeevan is the primary um, um, uh, entity or a unit which takes birth right through the human body. So the Jeevan keeps on coming on this earth, and there are so many Jeevans as we can see, as many as there are animals in the Jeevan category. Those all those Jeevans will need some sort of guidance, right? So if we can give an example, um, a child is born, and if they find the right education, then they can be in line with existence. And that's how we can say that similarly, so many animals that they can recognize, those animals which can recognize um, humans are said to have the Jivan. So that means that those Jivans will also be coming in the human form, and they will also need the guidance or the knowledge of coexistence. And so the cycle will have to keep on going for them to understand. Can somebody help me to read? I seem to have some sort of throat irritation, so anybody like to volunteer? Ganesh Bhaiya, will you be able to read? Okay, I think I'll just continue. The concept of splitting was arrived at by mathematical approach. Nuclear fission or splitting of the atom was discovered for making increasingly more powerful nuclear bombs. The purpose of making atomic bombs can be nothing apart from destruction. So here we are talking about how uh, the coexistence, the opposite of coexistence was about splitting, and then it starts with how the human has always put their effort into stretching the things to its last limit, including the atoms. And that's how we have come up with nuclear bombs. That is basically stretching the limit so far that it creates a nuclear fission where the atoms are actually now splitting each other and adding to the destruction of all the other atoms in the surrounding. Okay. So just give me a minute. I'm now transferring the call to the phone so that I can use. I need to use a So it's just because we have a lock, sort of blackout. I'm just trying to convert to the phone so that I can continue from the phone. Okay, so now I'll continue. The purpose of making atomic bombs can be nothing apart from the destruction. Apart from destruction like Hiroshima, the nuclear tests that were carried out again and again have caused more damage to the environment. These acts were carried out by a very few people, but their consequences were borne by the entire world. This is how common people were harmed by these destructive acts. So I'm just continuing to read this from my laptop without the screen, but I'm just staying with that as we are understanding it. It's quite easy to understand that just a few people who are actually responsible for this act, and they were actually creating the worst havoc on this earth. So we can see that the action or the activity of a few brings about harmful uh, repercussions for the whole of humanity. So by that, what I mean is that so few ignorant people can create havoc for the whole of humanity, and the proof of that is the atomic bombs dropped on the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? So yeah. The mathematical approach reduces the present to an infinitesimal duration, and the present seems to disappear, while the reality is just its opposite. The present is eternal, there is nothing apart from the present. Okay, so this is another very crucial point. We are always mostly given this guidance that we are not living in the present. And this is because the mathematical approach of time, or the way we divide the things, it reduces the present to an infinitesimal duration, and the present seems to disappear. So we never know what is the now, because it always, we are trying to grasp the now, it always disappears, right? So that is the thing. So that's the thing. While the reality is its opposite. The present is eternal. There is nothing apart from the present. Entire grandeur of existence is eternally present, while the present becomes non-existence by approach of fragmenting. So this we can understand how we are losing the present, in the sense that we are fragmenting it, and that's how we actually are not able to connect in the present. We are always thinking of the future. We are always fantasizing of the future. We are always regretting maybe the past. So none of that is having any sort of the right understanding of what the present is. Such a big bundle of lies has been made with this way. Now humans will have to have coincidence. Sorry. Now humans will have to have confidence in their own selves to overcome it. So again, this will happen when the human being is able to understands coexistence. Then only will he or she be able to say that they are living in the now. So this is again uh, a big of the number of lies that we have feed ourselves has led to this point, and that's why we are saying that we have to fix it ourselves. As long as humans derive their confidence from an atomic bomb, sword, flag, or stone, they will not trust each other. It is a fact. So, yes, this sentence is very crucial also, that we are relying on stones and bombs and flags instead of other humans, and this will not create trust with each other. That is a very bold statement, and it applies to today's day and age. Um, Humans will have confidence in themselves when they understand themselves. In order to understand themselves, every man and woman will need to precisely understand justice, dharma, and truth, which is the expression of Jeevan. So, here again, everybody is described to have. precisely understand justice, dharma, and truth, and that is how what the Jeevan will be able to express. Otherwise, we will never gain the trust of each other, and the humans will always be in a sort of a game of things, of pad, man pad, and all those kind of things that will still keep on going, and will keep on uh, involved with other humans. We'll keep on getting involved with other humans with the sake of power, politics, or anything which are of the lower stature, and that is how we will almost be animalistic in nature. So the truths, justice, dharma, and truth is the most important part where all human beings will be having the trust with each other. So this is again a very bold statement, and which we need to understand. The problem is happening because we are not understanding from the point of view of justice, dharma, and truth. And this is the way we will understand each other with trust once we have justice, dharma, and truth in each and every, Babaji has said here, in each and every man and woman, uh, this needs to be there, justice, dharma, and truth, right? So, yeah. Justice is understood on the basis of relationships. Dharma is understood on the basis of orderliness. Truth is understood on the basis of existence. So, coexistence is always effective as a manifestation of coexistence. Apart from humans, the entire grandeur of the other three orders is in the form of orderliness only. So, everything is in orderliness. Dharma is understanding orderliness, and the three orders are in orderliness. So, everything in the three orders is in dharma, basically, right? And justice, as it said here, is understanding basis of relationships. So now when we talk about relationships, it's mostly linked with the human beings, but here we are always given a new insight that we have a relationship with all the three orders. The three orders have a relationship with each other and with humans also. So we have a part to play in the whole of existence also, and that is also not such a small part. But once we understand orderliness, we will also find a way, for example, how to heal the earth faster, or how to make it habitable again for the future generations, how we can give this knowledge through the education system very easily from the young age, and all this kind of thing. So once we understand this, then we, our actions, our thought process, our जिसको कहते हैं ना तन मन धन will be towards this sort of relationship building with all the four orders, and with also understanding orderliness, and that way we will also be evidencing ourselves as knowledgeable, and all the jivans that come within our vicinity, be it with our children or with our friends or with our any persons who are new to this also, will be given the satisfaction of the truth through our way of existing or interacting with all the four orders, and that is how we will be actually imparting our knowledge. So yeah, I'll just read one more paragraph, and then maybe you can leave the topic for discussion. Humans too have an inherent thirst to whatever extent of being in orderliness. It is not possible to gain the concept of orderliness by studying the prevalent textbooks of delusion. It is only upon understanding the concept of orderliness and living thereby that humans can become capable of abiding by dharma. So, by this few lines, we are understanding that all the books that are there, Babaji has said, are textbooks of delusion, because they are sort of fragmenting. They are not understanding the all the four orders and its relationships with each other. They are not created by people or humans who are evolved enough to understand all these relationships. So now it's just as simple as studying what is 2 plus 2 not equal to 4.
that answer to that equation is so big and so vast and infinite in nature, because actually we are trying to study what is not the truth. So I don't know how important this is for the audience to hear, but to me it was like an epiphany, because I suddenly understood that all the things that the human beings have actually um, come to understand are things that are which are actually uh, half baked, if that makes sense. No, they were not fully known, the relationships were not fully known, the orderliness were not fully known, and so these things, even poetic might be, however much poetic that might be there. Like for example, when I used to be young, I used to be getting emotional with the poems and the ghazals and all those kind of things, but then now I suddenly realize that all of these ghazals and all of these things are just merely representing the physical form of the body, and even if at most it was getting to the point of touching the the lacking of something. It's never about having something, because you lack something, you are so engrossed in the void of it that you are so sad, and all these things kind of happen. So you get emotionally attached to this kind of literature and all these kind of things. So I suddenly had an epiphany that all that we have in the forms of texts and all this, even the most prevalent, you can see here what Babaji said. It is not possible to gain the concept of orderliness by studying the prevalent textbooks of delusion. Even if they are popular and prevalent textbooks, they are still textbooks of delusion. It is only upon understanding the concept of orderliness and living thereby that humans become capable of abiding by dharma. Human dharma, indeed, is to live in orderliness. Every entity in existence, being in orderliness and participating in orderliness itself, is seen in the form of dharma. So, here again, orderliness and participating in orderliness itself is seen in the form of dharma. I just need to read this again. What is dharma? Every entity in existence, being in orderliness and participating in orderliness itself, is seen as the form of dharma. So, understanding orderliness and then being and participating in that orderliness is called dharma. Dharma of material order is existing. Dharma of biological order is growing with existing. So basically multiplying, right? Dharma of animal order is hope of living along with growth and existence. So surviving basically. Dharma of animal is to survive, hope of living, basically surviving with growth and existence. Dharma of knowledge order humans is continuity of happiness along with hope of living and growth and existence. So as we become evolved, we are adding one feather to our cap, which is basically now we need to be happy and existing and growing and with line with existence. So this is how the human is actually said to be the Gyan Avastha, the highest of the orders. And how is this happiness? This happiness itself is the dharma of humans. How will happiness be achieved? Through resolution. Resolution will be achieved by living in orderliness. Living in orderliness depends on understanding in humans. Understanding is to have enlightenment of existence, Jeevan, and humane conduct in Buddhi. So here we are saying that how our understanding is the reason that we will become happy. And this happiness is basically being in orderliness, understanding orderliness, and understanding is to have enlightenment of existence. What is existence? We get the light, enlightenment of it, right? What is Jivan? We get enlightenment of it. And humane conduct, that is, we get to understand what is humane conduct. So that's how we will be able to become happy. So I will just take a brief moment now, and maybe if we have something, we can have a discussion on it. Uh, I will just stop reading now and just maybe discuss on what we have said today. Okay, so I'll cut the meeting short today because we are traveling now and we have this issue of the blackout. So let's
Okay,
meet
Bhaiya,
tomorrow
thank you
again.
very much. Thank you.
Yes.
I was also busy in Dehradun attending guests.
Acha.
So hopefully
Yes,
I will
yes.
be yes, I will be regular from Monday onwards.
No problem. No problem. Chalo. Bye. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you